Hey everybody. As you know, I can see my background has changed a bit. I'm not in the basement. Only because, the game's on Christmas, so wanted to have the Christmas tree in the background and, see the stockings in the back there and everything. So I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah, actually, the first day of Hanukkah falls on Sunday this year. That's the first day on Christmas. And also Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus to the rest of y'all, whatever. Anyway, as we all know, if anybody's been following me on Facebook, I'm talking a lot of trash this week about the Steelers, and I'm going to continue to do so until Sunday's game. But as we all know, Ravens play the Steelers Christmas Day, 4 o'clock or 4:30, potentially for the AFC North Division. Now, even though a lot of broadcasters have said, this is for the AFC North Division title, technically it's not, because depending whoever wins this game or not, and what happens with the Dolphins and Bills game, this loss may not end up hurting either team. Actually, it is quite possible that both the Ravens and Steelers could end up playing each other again in about a couple weeks. If the Bills end up beating the Dolphins, and I think the Dolphins they have to play. Can't remember the last team they got to play at the end of the season. I think it's the Patriots, matter of fact. I think they got to play the Patriots at the end of the season, so most likely they'll probably lose to them with Matt Morris quarterback, and they'll lose two straight. If the Bills can pull off that win, it's not an upset right, by any standards, but if the Bills pull that off this tomorrow, then it leaves open a chance for both the Ravens and the Steelers to where this game does not become do or die. For both teams, of course, it is do or die. For the Ravens, when you look at how they won the Eagles game this past Sunday and how they struggled on defense to stop the run, they struggled on offense to score points. The only efficient thing that's been good for the Ravens, I think, all season has been consistent, has been, for the most part, has been defense, but has been special teams. Special teams has been on it. Justin Tucker was kicking into the wind last Sunday. The wind started picking up. He hit a 53-yard field goal. He was the man. He's doing his thing. That's the MVP for the year, but that says a lot about your team when your kicker is the most valuable player. Now, this is just like it was in 2000, where Matt Stover was literally scoring all the points at the end of the season for the Ravens. But that team was different only because they have probably one of the greatest defenses of all time. I mean, the 2000 Ravens defense can arguably be put up to the test against the 1985 Bears as far as the greatest defense ever assembled for one particular season. But that defense is not it this year. They're good, but they're not unstoppable. This is a Dean Pease defense where they play bend but don't break. They let guys kind of work in between the 20-yard lines on both sides, and then when it's to get into the red zone, they tighten it up and then they hold them to field goals. But the flip side to that though, this year they I think are number 2 in takeaways this year, which is something they didn't do the last couple of years, where they weren't getting any interceptions, they weren't forcing fumbles, but they are doing that this year. The downside to that, though, is that the offense is not then turning said turnovers into points. That's where the rubber meets the road, I think, for the Ravens, is that they've had so many opportunities to go ahead and stomp teams. Look at the Jets game, look at the Giants game, look at the Redskins game. When they went to that 3-game losing streak before the bye week, and they lost to teams that they should have beat handily. I mean, they had opportunities in each game to go ahead and beat these teams, but whether guys just didn't step up and make plays or missed opportunities and coach, it's just a combination of things has happened to the Ravens all season, and now here we are. If you look at it, if the Ravens had handled business in those 3 games, this game on Christmas Day, while it is a rivalry game, probably doesn't change the seeding too much for the Ravens. The Ravens at this point maybe maybe at this point what I think would be at, if you turn those into wins, that's like 10 wins, I think. The way the AFC has played this year, I think that maybe locks up the division, at least a division title for the Ravens. Going in to the playoffs, at least a playoff spot. Maybe not necessarily the division title, but I think they would at least lock up a playoff spot with that record at this point. It would be I think 10-4. So, that's neither here nor there. I can't, talk about the past, and we just got to focus on what's going on this Sunday. So, this Sunday we have a few injuries. As we all know, Jimmy Smith suffered a high ankle sprain He's probably, most people know, who have been watching football for a while, high ankle sprains take a while to heal. It's one of those injuries where you can't really be on your feet to go ahead and try to let it heal. So you got to just keep off your feet, don't run around, stay off of it. So he's going to be out probably. If the Ravens go into the playoffs, will probably be out until the playoffs, until was that week 18 when it's the wild card, that first round. So he most likely will be out. So that means that leaves Shareece Wright and Tavon Young as the starting cornerbacks for the Baltimore Ravens. Antonio Brown, from what I hear, is healthy. He's going to be doing his thing. But from what John Harbaugh is saying, when they asked him about Jimmy Smith, he said he's not worried about it, which is bull crap. But anyway, he said he's going to probably pitch Shareece Wright on Antonio Brown. That's a big mistake. That is a big mistake. If you put anybody on Antonio Brown, it should be Tavon Young. Tavon Young, while he is a rookie, trying to go at that point going against a veteran, has, I think, proven at this point that he's, at this late part of the season, he's been very clutch. If you look at a lot of key games where he's been clutch in a lot of games by breaking up plays and being there to tackle guys, stopping them from getting first downs, and he's playing the ball well. He may not be getting a lot of interceptions, but he is playing great defense and locking down some guys. And I think if you want to give the Ravens the best chance to win this football game, you got to put them maybe against Tavon Young and Antonio Brown. Now, I know Sammy Coates has speed, and I know Eli Rogers. He's more of a possession guy. He's not really fast. He kind of works the middle of the field and just kind of gets those 5, 6, 7, 8-yard catches, and will continue to move the chains and stuff. I know Sammy Coates has speed, and Shareece Wright isn't the fastest guy in the world, but Sammy Coates is coming off 2 broken fingers in his left hand, so catching the ball for him in Pittsburgh, it's going to be at night. It's going to be dark and it's going to be cold. So trying to catch the ball from Ben Roethlisberger in the cold is going to be hard for Sammy Coates to do. I don't see Sammy Coates, I think, working the middle of the field, catching the short routes, mainly because that means Ben Roethlisberger is throwing the ball hard into his hands. And with 2 broken fingers in your hands, he doesn't want to put any more pressure on him than he has to. So what they're going to do with Sammy Coates is send him deep. He's going to be that deep guy all game. They're going to be sending him on go routes or stopping, whatever. They're going to send him 20, 30 yards down the field where Big Ben can air it out and put it into the breadbasket so it just falls into his hands instead of having him hold his hands up and then try to beam that ball in there and re-injure his fingers, his left hand. So because of that injury, I don't see that takes away a receiver that works the middle of the field. He's going to be that deep guy. So you already know they're probably going to put Ladarius Webb over the top of that. Okay, you got to protect that deep ball because then Ben Roethlisberger is going to test that secondary. The other side to it, though, is I think while the secondary is going to have its challenges, I think this game is going to come down to the trenches. It's going to come down to which defensive line can provide the most pressure at the right time. We know how these games work. Don't worry about the stats. Don't worry about what they did coming into this game and how they played coming into this game. The Ravens-Steelers matchups do not matter, as we saw last year. The Ravens were down and out, and they still ended up beating the Steelers. Had nothing to play for, but it still ended up beating the Steelers twice last year because this is a game guys step up for. This is a game that guys, with just any ounce of pride in them, go out. I'm playing hard this game. Steve Smith is going to go after Mike Mitchell. He's called him, low down and all this other stuff. I think 2 years ago when he took a dirty shot at him on the knocked him out of bounds. So he's going after him. Suggs is going to get a couple sacks on Ben Roethlisberger. He respects Ben, but he wants to pitch. He wants to hit Ben Roethlisberger. He wants to hit him. And if anything, the Ravens defense knows how to hit Big Ben. If no other team knows how to do it, it's the Baltimore Ravens. They find ways to put Ben out of the game at some point, whether it be a broken nose or a concussion, whatever. The Ravens find a way to take Big Ben out, at least for a quarter, maybe the rest of the game. But I don't know. But like I said, that is going to come down, I think, for the Ravens on that defensive line. Not necessarily Demerville and Judon and Suggs because they're the edge guys, so they're going to be more wrapping around. And Big Ben, he's able to work. He's so good at scrambling within the pocket to move outside of that he can feel the guys coming around. He can step out to the side and left and right and move out of the way and then force Suggs and those guys to have to run all the way back around to try to catch him. By that point, he's already probably either down the field or already thrown to his tight end for 10 yards. So I think the key for the Ravens, like it has been since Big Ben has been quarterback, is breaking apart that pocket in the middle, just like they would play Tom Brady. Except Big Ben will be able to throw. He holds onto the ball a little bit longer because he's actually more efficient when the play breaks down and receivers can start running all over the field, and he can find guys like Antonio Brown. He has such a rapport with the Brown right now that he knows where he's going to be, and Brown knows what Ben Roethlisberger is going to be doing. If he has that clock in his head, he's like, all right, the ball's not in the air yet. It means Ben has either been sacked or he's still running. He's still running around. So then Brown finds a way to separate himself from the cornerback. He finds a way to get open. He's so shifty and elusive like that. He'll just get a split second, get open, and then move down the field. They're so good at doing that. So I think for the Ravens, Brandon Williams and Timmy Jernigan, and then finding a blend of blitzing, whether they be the safeties or the linebackers, up those gaps for Ben Roethlisberger to go ahead and destroy that pocket. So that way, if you have Suggs coming from the outside, but then you got pressure from the middle as well, and getting pressure up the middle, then you provide a good situation for the Baltimore Ravens to go ahead either make turnovers or force Ben to get happy feet. Only downside to that is that they haven't done that all year. So I'm saying something that they haven't really done all season is get pressure up the middle. They've gotten some pressure around the sides, but this is that kind of game where you give Ben any kind of time, he's going to tear you apart. So they're going to have to do something they haven't done all season, which is kind of tough for them to get a handle of. Another thing, also stop Le'Veon Bell. I think I have to move that to number one. Stop Le'Veon Bell. They've done a pretty good job being able to contain him for the last few years, not letting him go off on them. And the key with Le'Veon Bell is because he's such a patient runner. I think it's very important for any team that plays the Pittsburgh Steelers, when they're running the football, gap control is so important. It's one of those things where you cannot over pursue Le'Veon Bell because he'll sit there and wait, and he's waiting for somebody to make a mistake, and he'll find that hole open up, and he bam runs right through it. He did it against the Bills in the snow. I mean, but the Ravens, what they did so well for the last few years is that they figured out. They tell their guys up front, look, when they're running the ball, don't try to just blow past the defender. Keep that gap closed. Keep those gaps locked down so he has nowhere to run in between the tackles, forcing him to bounce it outside. So maybe our linebackers or safeties can come up and get him. You force him to stay back there trying to look and bounce around trying to find the hole. At some point, somebody's going to get to him. And the Ravens have done a good job of that over the last few years. Like I said, they haven't done it all season. They did it earlier this year. In November, they were able to shut down Le'Veon Bell. But as we all know, towards the end of the game, the Steelers did come back and got close to getting back into that football game. But the Ravens were able to put up points early to go ahead and kind of lock it down. And I think that's the other point. This is a game where Harbaugh and Joe Flacco are playing for their livelihoods at this point. I think Steve Bisciotti was at the Castle this week. They said Steve Bisciotti rarely shows up to the Castle for practices or anything. He was there the last 2 days watching practice. He was there Wednesday and he was there Thursday watching practice. They said it's very rare to see Steve at the Castle during the season. He's got other businesses he's got to worry about and things like that. He lets Ozzie and those guys handle business. But clearly, Steve Bisciotti, with his presence on the sideline with Harbaugh and probably Ozzie watching that team, probably has to send a little bit of shockwave to the coaching staff and those players like, man, the owner's here. Apparently, he's like, okay, this is crucial. I've been telling my coworkers that if Harbaugh finds a way to get into the playoffs, I think he stays. He at least buys himself one more season. I think he's on a year-to-year base at this point for me. And they will give him, all right, you made the playoffs. We'll give you one more year to work it out. If the Ravens end up losing this football, and I think that's the thing, even if they even find a way and they get help and they squeak into the playoffs, if the Ravens lose this game Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't care even if it's close. If they lose this game because of knowing what the Ravens have gone through this season and how they've been scratching and clawing to get to this situation, to be in this situation, to still even have a chance to win the division when it looked like they were down and out just 7 weeks ago. If they lose this game, I think Harbaugh is finished. Harbaugh is done. His coaching staff knows it, and everybody else. I think at that point, everybody, maybe besides Rosberg, I think he stays. I mean, he's been phenomenal. But I think that Harbaugh and Flacco have to know that, man, I got to get my act together. Flacco, I know, has been hearing it from all the pundits how he's not great. I just looked at the QBR rating yesterday where Flacco is this season. He's ranked, I think he's ranked like 25th in the league. He's the bottom tier quarterbacks. There are at least 24 other quarterbacks that are operating better than Joe Flacco right now, and we can see it. We've seen it all season. That he's not what he was. And well, Flacco has not been the greatest quarterback in the world. He's looked a little. He's in a few past years, especially before 2012, he looked a little bit more efficient, looked more in sync with what was going on, things like that. Since 2012, his actual QBR has been going down. The ranking among the quarterbacks in the league has gone down. His best year was when he was under Gary Kubiak, and he was 7th in the league. He was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. But since Gary Kubiak has gone, in the last 2 seasons, he's been, I think they said 17th in 2015, and then 27th this year in 2016. The other years that he was good, I think they said 2010 or 2011, and he was, I think was they said he was like either 11th or 12th, like he was just past that top 10 mark. But though that was his best, like 2011, 2010 was like his best season or seasons, and then the 2014 season. And if you take out the 2012 campaign, you take out the playoffs, you take away those 11 touchdowns, he had a pretty average season. So since he's got to the league, his first 4 years were actually pretty decent. It looked like he was working his way to become a solid franchise quarterback. Since then, though, he's actually declined. He's gotten worse. The knee injury did not help either. You can see his mechanics are off. I don't know if he's still thinking about the knee. He's still throwing off his back foot. He's making critical mistakes. He doesn't understand a 2-minute drill. He still sight throws where he just throws it to that spot, regardless of where the player is, the receiver is, or defender is. He still throws it to that spot. It just seems like, when things are down, things seem to be down and out or whatever, or the team needs some kind of pick-me-up, he does not there to do it. There's no one there. Harbaugh's not that seem to be that guy. The guys it seems like it goes in one ear out the other for them. I always think of Harbaugh like that stepdad that just tries too hard to be like the kid's friend, and he just pits everybody off. Like, I think that's what I feel like what John Harbaugh is. Like, he just tries too hard to be like likable and for the guys to like him and to take credit for everything. And it just it seems like it's blown up in his face. Because here we are now in week 16, and from what I've heard in reports and stuff on the radio and from guys and reporters, it's a lot of tension in that Ravens locker room. The Suggs has been challenging the offensive coordinators. Special teams is yelling at defense. Defense is yelling at offense. Offense is yelling at everybody. Like, this is not the right time for a team to start crumbling. This is exactly the same thing that happened in 2012, where they had that mutiny. Okay, when everybody was like, "Hey, they just lost their last 3 games going into the playoffs, and they did not look good." And they found a way to get together when Ray decided he was going to retire, and everybody rallied around that. Problem is, I don't see what they're rallying around right now. They don't have that Ray Lewis or Ed Reed there to rally around. Suggs is not that guy who's going to rally the troops together. He's a goofball. He's just he plays off everybody else and does his thing. So everybody looks at that point to the head coach and the quarterback. And you just seem like both of these guys are just very aloof. And you're just like going into a rivalry game, Christmas Day, when everybody's been talking about all the Ravens and Steelers rivalry is not as good as it used to be, and it's the Bengals and Steelers now. That's our true rivalry. Like, no, it's Ravens Steelers. If the guys, the coaches have been talking, have been real respectful toward each other all week. They don't want anybody to give any chalkboard material. They don't want any whiteboard material for these guys. But at the same time, it feels like to me this game could be the culmination of everything we've seen from the Ravens under the Harbaugh era. The Ravens go into this game flat, with their emotions flat. They don't play hard or whatever, and they just lose a tight game. It's just like that's the Ravens under Harbaugh. They're good, just not good enough. And I think that's where Harbaugh loses everybody. And I think that's where, if he loses the game, he ends up on Black Monday after week 17 trying to find a new job. He's got to win it. I know he may not say it, but I guarantee you, with Steve Bisciotti in them there, and I'm pretty sure he may have got a message from Ozzie and them. They look, man, you were on thin ice. We gave you a mulligan last year because of all the injuries and stuff, and you kept the team remotely together to win, beat the Steelers twice, and try to finish the season pretty strong. But we have a chance to get in the playoffs this year. We've got most guys relatively healthy. We added some weapons. You got Mike Wallace, you got Kenneth Dixon, we got West. You got Pitta back. I don't want to hear if you're Ozzie and Steve, I don't want to hear the excuses anymore. The defense has played good all year. They had one bad game last week. I don't think that's going to be the norm because they played pretty well all season. I just think they went into that game flat. They just with no enthusiasm. But I think they come into this game, I think they're going to be pissed off. I think the players, not with no credit to Harbaugh, I think that defense at least goes into that game pissed off because they know they played a bad game last week, and they're not gonna they don't want to do a repeat performance of that. Suggs is still the last guy from that Ray Lewis, Ed Reed era of football, the Ravens football. He does not want the Steelers to do that to them. They let the Eagles do that to them. He does not want the Steelers to do that to them. So I think that defense comes out fired up. Now, where the offense comes out fired up, it remains to be seen. Steve Smith's still going to do his thing. I think Mike Wallace does his thing. He's going to be, former team that let him go, that didn't pay him his money. So he's always felt, I'm pretty sure, some kind of animosity towards the front office organization for not deciding to pay him for going elsewhere. And, I think he's gonna want to get the ball definitely. I think the running backs play well, but it comes down to Flacco. Now I think the defense will do what it's been doing all season and keep this unit, this team in the game all game. And I think it's going to be some scoring going on, but I think it may end up like in 2012, come down to Flacco in a 2-minute drill. If anybody remembers 2012 when the Ravens are, I think there's the second game going towards the end of the season where they're battling for the division title. And Flacco leads the team down the field and throws the touchdown to Torrey Smith to win that football game. And that then turns into the Ravens going to the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl. Ray Lewis retires. Everybody's happy. Flacco gets his contract. Everybody's great. But now we're in another situation. It's so funny how history repeats itself because here we are again. The Ravens getting ready to go into the playoffs, needing to win the division. Don't want to count on anybody else to lose to get them in. You win, you're in if you're the Ravens. They know they got to go in there. They know Flacco has to have it in his mindset. This is a game, I think, where Flacco needs to turn it on. His whole career, he's been Joe Cool. He hasn't really shown the emotion or any kind of passion, it seems like, during the games or anything. He's just very aloof. This is a turning point for him in his career. He's a 9-year vet. This is a turning point for him in his career. If he wants to continue to be the franchise quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, the way this team operates and has operated is on passion and fire. That's how they operate. That's how they've always operated. It may seem cliche to some people. You see Ed and Ray yang on the sideline, but it worked. It worked for 10, 12 years. It worked. And I think that's what this team is built upon. And you can see it's missing. They wanted it there. You can see if they get that spark, they get that fire, they can carry them. It can carry them far. But I think it comes from Flacco. It doesn't come from Harbaugh. Like I said, it goes in one year out the other with that guy, with everybody. If they see Flacco performing and getting in somebody's face, maybe on the field or talking trash to somebody, whatever. They see Flacco with that kind of passion on Sunday. I think that propels the team further down into the playoffs. But it's got to come from Joe. So that's as I end this video, I'll give I think my prediction is going to be, I'll say 27-24 Ravens. I think it comes down to a field goal. I'm only picking the Ravens because I'm a fan. I'm gonna be a homer, whatever. A lot of people aren't picking the Ravens for this game, but I think with Justin Tucker with that weapon that we have, I think he's gonna probably get a chance to win us a football game again. But this is my message. I think as I end this video, this is my message to Joe Flacco. I don't know if your wife has said it yet or anything, but you got 3 kids, right? 3 kids now. 3 or 4. I can't remember. You've been having kids a lot now lately. They're going to need some money from school later on down the line. if you don't get your act together, that contract you have right now, that thing is going to be, they'll find a way to get rid of it, trade you, something like that. You go to a city you don't want to go to, and your career could become done at that point. My thing to Flacco, if I'm talking to Flacco, if he ever sees my video, my question would be, do you want to be great? That's just my question. Do you want to be great? Because this is the moment. You've been telling people you think you're the best quarterback in the league for years. We saw a glimpse of it in 2012 in the playoffs. We haven't seen it since. This is a moment now. After all 9 years of people doubting you and people saying you're just not an elite quarterback, that you're just okay or you're average Joe, can you become great? Do you want to be great? This is that moment that you have right now in your hand to become great. You can change all of that around. You can change your whole legacy. Because as of right now, as Ravens fans, even us who have supported you for 9 years, we're done. We're like, we can't support you anymore. We can't defend you. We just can't. There's no one on your side right now but you. But that's the way it is for a quarterback. As the leader of the team, it's lonely at the top. And you got to lead that team. And it's going to come down to you, Flacco. It's going to come down to you. And you got to get it done. You got to at least put the team in field goal range if it comes down to that point, or throw the game-winning touchdown. It's going to be up to you. If you have the ball last, I expect you to be great. If not, you kick rocks. But anyway, that's it. That's my video. And please leave comments at the bottom or whatever. I will be doing the halftime, the hammock talk during the game at halftime, and then my post game. Hopefully the Ravens win. Again, prediction score will be 27-24. And yeah, let's go Ravens, and Steelers suck, all that good stuff. To my friends Chantel, Jamie, and Mendel, who are Steeler fans that I know of, it is what it is, guys. I hope Big Ben, gets his nose broken again by one of our defensive players or something. It is what it is. It happens. But anyway, but respect to you guys. I said as Ravens fans, we respect Steeler fans. They're true football fans, just like we are. It's one of the pure football rivalries left in the NFL, and we want to keep that going. We talk our trash. At the end of the day, we respect the hell out of you guys and all that good stuff. But anyway, it's my video, and everybody have a Merry Christmas. Be safe. Enjoy the gifts, all that good stuff. Or remember all those who are less fortunate out there who don't have a Christmas tree or don't have gifts under the tree or anything else like that. So, happy holidays and Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy Hanukkah and all that good stuff like I said in the beginning of the video. All right, peace.